This video aims to answer the question of whether single-sex education produces better academic outcomes for students. This issue is relevant to me as I'm completing my professional experience in an all-boys school, and I'll look at the matter in terms of student data, school relationships, classroom life, and finally, teacher reflections. The debate on this issue is contentious and multifaceted, with vocal proponents on either side of the argument publishing their views regularly in the media. Some articles tout the benefits of single-sex schools, while others herald its extinction. What are some of the arguments from either side? To start with, let's frame the issue by comparing two well-known voices from either side of the argument and their opinions on how the matter affects classroom life. Founder of the National Association for Single-Sex Public Education, Dr. Leonard Sachs, claims that boys' and girls' brains are hardwired differently. Girls develop faster, so boys are disadvantaged in co-educational settings. He says classroom life for boys should be tailored to their hardwired preferences for competition, aggressive play, and fast-paced action. In opposition, neuroscientist Dr. Lisa Elliott argues that there are no differences in brain structure between boys and girls, and segregationists such as Sachs misuse research findings to suggest otherwise. She's an advocate for neuroplasticity, that brains are shaped from repeated behaviours and actions, and students perform better when they believe they can learn anything. She warns that segregating sexes based on perceived differences in hardwiring furthers gender stereotypes and impedes learning. These two voices offer a snapshot of competing theories from the United States, but what does the current student data tell us about the state of same-sex education in Australia today? Student numbers in single-sex schools are undeniably in decline. Between 1985 and 1995, the proportion of students in the independent system attending single-sex schools dropped from 31 to 24%. In 2016, the Independent Schools Council of Australia reported only 22% of their students attended single-sex schools, which represents just under 131,000 children. This does show a trend away from same-sex education, but for the students that remain in all boys or girls schools, do they outperform their co-ed counterparts? An analysis of NAPLAN results comparing the outcomes from same-sex to co-ed schools found that students at same-sex schools did in fact outperform their co-ed counterparts in both literacy and numeracy, but the data suggested the gap was closing, so that by the time co-ed students entered high school, they would be on par in numeracy with students of same-sex schools and outperforming them in literacy. But this is only one analysis. One recurring theme from the literature on the efficacy of same-sex education is the inability to separate research findings on academic performance in single-sex schools from the socioeconomic status of the students who attend them. Rochester concluded that socioeconomic and other cultural factors are almost always present in research and tend to skew findings. Ferrara and Ferrara found the same, that most single-sex schools have fees which exclude a large percentage of general public from attending them, so the data gained from studying them was inapplicable to other settings. To highlight this point, this is student data from Ipswich Central State School and Ipswich Grammar School, which are located 2 kilometres from one another. Salidas and Dobson comment that the vast majority of all boys schools in Australia come with expensive enrolment fees. As such, it is impossible to separate the type of school from socioeconomic status as an indicator of success. In this vein, it may be more pertinent to look at Ipswich Grammar School as being different from neighbouring schools, not because of its single-sex setting, but because of the SES backgrounds of its students. In becoming a reflective practitioner, it is my responsibility to re-examine the assumptions and variables underpinning the decisions I make as a teacher, what Scon calls double loop learning. What I have learned during the research process has prompted me to make the following changes to my teaching. I tend to agree with Elliott's notions of neuroplasticity and aim to foster a growth mindset in my male students, encouraging them that they have no inbuilt roadblocks for their learning based on their gender, and they can gain mastery of whatever they put their minds to. In saying this, I will keep an open mind and trial some of Sachs's techniques, even if I don't agree that boys are hardwired in a particular way. As a beginning teacher, I'm open to trialing new methods to see if they work in practice, as long as it's always in the best interest of my students. As the research suggests, it is difficult to separate academic results from single-sex schools and the socio-economic backgrounds of the families who send their children there. This alone warrants further research. While I'm on professional experience, I'll be aware that parents will have their own reasons for sending their sons to a single-sex school. Some may believe gender segregation works, and some may have chosen the school for other reasons. I will be mindful to consider these different reasons as they form the expectations parents have of their school and me as a teacher. Thank you for watching.